Hi guys, Brian Silvestry here, real estate broker. Just talking to you a little bit on this YouTube live about the rental market right now. So, if you haven't seen some of my other videos, you may or may not know that real estate was declared essential services very early in the process of the pandemic. So during the pandemic, and even now, as the economy is reopening, I can do mostly everything that I normally do, except I'm not allowed to go on face-to-face client appointments. So I can't go and show a property for sale for rent. I can't meet with a client face-to-face in their home and talk to them. So we do everything virtually and have been doing everything virtually. So, but as far as what's been going on with the rental market, specifically in Manhattan, where we've been in the last couple of years, we've been in a very tenant-favored market, and it definitely will continue to be that way. A couple of properties that I am working on right now. One is a two-bedroom rental in Harlem, and we were trying to rent it before the pandemic happened, and then we shut everything down, of course, and we just started again a few weeks ago. So the response on that has been a little bit slow so far. It's a two-bedroom, one bath, and has the whole backyard. It's only $23.50, and the owner is paying the broker fee as well. Another property that I put in the market, which is a studio in the building at 400 Central Park West. And normally those studios, which are about 545 square feet, they go for about 2,600. So I told the owner, based upon what we're seeing and the current economic conditions, 2,400 would be about the right rent, and that she should also pay the fee. That one has been the opposite. That one I got 20 emails a day. We have a couple applications in, and we should be signing a lease in the next day or so. I also have friends that live on the Upper West Side. I have friends that own property downtown. On the tenant side, some tenants are feeling like if their lease is coming up, they can renegotiate right now, and it's definitely worth a try. I have one friend that asked the landlord, I think they're paying $6,000 a month for a 3-bedroom, and they asked the landlord to lower it to 5,500 or something like that. And the landlord, who owns many buildings, basically came back to them and called their bluff and said, "I will give you a new lease, but I won't raise your rent. How about that?" Also, I have another client and friend who owns an apartment downtown, and he has a 3-bedroom down there, which he rents for $7,400. The tenant asked also for a discount, and my friend said, "How about we just keep the rent where it is?" So it all depends. If you're a tenant in an apartment and you're paying a rent like that, it could cost $15,000-$20,000 to move. So are you going to go through that trouble to save $300 or $400 a month? Probably not. Or if you're in a studio, and you're paying $2,100 or $2,300 or 1-bedroom, and you see a better apartment, you might think about making a move. Maybe different. In another market that I work in, which is the Bronx, I had a buyer who was in contract to buy a 2-family from me, and then what wound up happening was he owns a couple of multifamilies. Those tenants stopped paying. So they stopped paying. All of a sudden, he can't pay his mortgages. He's in forbearance. He's asking the bank to delay his payments so that he can hopefully get new tenants. And obviously, he's not going to buy a new property. So that sale wound up falling through. Luckily, the Bronx market is extremely hot with very low inventory. So we put that property back in the market, a 2-family, and within about a week, I had another offer for the same price, and we went to contract about a week later. So there are things that are happening in the real estate market. And if just staying specific to the rental market, I think the takeaway is that if you're a landlord and you have an empty unit, you need to price aggressively, and at the same time, you need to pay the broker fee so the tenant doesn't have to pay a fee. And on the tenant side, I think you can, if you're willing to leave your current apartment, you can try to renegotiate your lease. Another example, I have a client with a studio downtown. The tenant works in the restaurant. The restaurant cut her hours, so she's getting half of her normal income. So she told the landlord, "How about I pay you half the normal rent?" Now the market is not like that. So while you might be able to gain a discount of 10%, 5%, depending if it's a more expensive rental, you're probably not going to be looking at something where your income has gone down 50%, that a landlord's going to take 50% cut. Also these days is a little bit difficult from the landlord side because with the moratorium on evictions and just the amount that the courts will be bogged down, it makes a lot of landlords skittish. So it's going to make some other tenants, it's going to make it difficult for some other tenants to rent apartments if they're on the borderline or they don't meet some of the criteria. Maybe the credit is not so good, or maybe the income doesn't quite measure up. The laws in New York City are so much in favor of tenants that it just makes it really difficult for a landlord to evict somebody. So a lot of landlords are a little bit skittish about taking on someone who's on the borderline. They'd almost rather just leave the unit empty. So that's it. Any questions? Feel free to hit the comments, and please subscribe to my videos and send me a message, and hope to see you again soon. Thanks for tuning in.